So I'm sowing my brassicas today. This is my main brassica sowing. I've got some early kales in the ground already, but these are my main crop summer kales. I'll do another batch for winter later on. Quite a nice selection. And I'm also doing some romanesco and some red cabbages and some sprouts and kalettes. So I've got all my seed packets here. And this is kind of part of my strategy for sowing seeds is diversification. So I like a lot of different varieties, and some of them will always do well, no matter what the weather conditions, the pests, the diseases, or anything like that. And I'll also sow them in multiple locations. So that kind of diversification in terms of varieties, types of brassicas, and different types and physical locations, it makes all the difference, I think, in terms of, especially when you want to be self-sufficient. You just don't want to take any risks. Even the kalettes, well, there's only one type of kalette, but this is a mixed packet, so there's actually 3, I think, different varieties in that packet. So I'll show you how I sow my brassicas. There's nothing to it. Now, if I'm pricking these out, and so I don't want this compost to be really well firmed down, so I just give it a little bit of a press with my hand and just make little depressions in it like this with my fingertip, just so that all the seeds don't end up in the centre. Now, if I was putting these in a module that they were going to grow in until planting time, then I would firm this down so that there was loads of compost in the module. And so there was maximum sort of nutrients, and it was so easy to get the module out in the future. But because I'm pricking out, I don't care about any of that. So just lightly firm down, little depressions. So hopefully you can see, I just sprinkle the seeds on top. Nothing fancy about that. And I'll just cover them with dry compost. I'm covering them with about 1 centimetre, and then just smooth it out with my fingers. The water will do most of the smoothing out in a minute. So there we go, that's all done. I'll just quickly talk about these. So this is Scarlet's, a lovely red curly kale. Black Magic, a lovely black Tuscan kale. Kalettes, one of my favourites. I did a video about that just recently, and apparently I'm always going on about how great kalettes are. Well, that's because they're really great. Fill basket, that's a good sprout, keeps well into winter. Sympathetic red, another really tightly curled red curly kale. Red ball, a red Brussels sprout. They're not as prolific, these, as the green Brussels sprouts, but that said, they look really nice. The leaves are nice, and they do keep well into winter. Pentland Brig, this is a new one, tried it last year, really liked it. This is a kind of cabbagey, slightly curly kale. It's really nice. Dwarf green, really tightly curled green curly kale. We really like that one. We grew a lot of that this winter. We've still got a lot of it now. Dazzling blue, this is a kind of a cross, I think, between a Tuscan kale and a cabbage, and it's really nice. Looks beautiful. Red drumhead, just a classic red cabbage, and a romanesco cauliflower. I don't know what the variety is, just some seeds from Wilco. So that is a nice little selection. I won't be doing a lot more in terms of the range of brassicas than this, because we don't do much in the way of winter cabbage. We find it just takes up so much space, and we've just got such a lovely variety of kales that we don't really need a lot of cabbage. We will do plenty of spring cabbage though, but obviously that's a long time yet. So there you go, that's my seed sowing done for the day. If you want this database or any of the information in this database, look in the video and in the description of the video, sorry, and you'll find all the details. And if you want to find out more about how I sow seeds, take a look in the basics section of my book, and there's all the information here: sowing, growing with lights, hardening off, planting, and all of that. And if you want more on brassicas specifically, take a look at my year-round growing guides, and there's one in here about growing leafy and flowering brassicas and growing brassicas specifically for the hungry gap. And I have got some individual growing guides in here specifically on kalettes and Brussels sprouts in the brassica family. So those are the books. So when it comes to watering, this compost is not really particularly moist. It's not completely dry. It's basically just as it comes out of the bag. And so it does need a bit of water. Basically this little bottle for all of these modules doesn't need a huge amount though. If you give it too much, the soil's really sodden. The seeds are, the seedlings are not well drained. But you will need to give it some repeat waterings. So this will be enough for, well, it depends on the weather, but say 3 or 4 days. And then give it another sprinkle on top, kind of like that. And that would be sufficient. And the roots just, growing into slightly moist compost, the roots just kind of grow really nice. And kind of just seeking out that water makes them really easy as well to prick out later on. Anyway, I'm not going to show you me watering anymore, but I have emptied that bottle into those 2 trays. And when you pick these up, they'll be nice and heavy. It really is useful to get an idea as to what a well-wetted seed tray actually feels like in terms of the weight, and then judge whether things need watering again by the weight. So hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.